All right. So our PayTrace webinar, EMV 2.0. Let's talk about the agenda for this course. On this, we're going to be talking about the value of EMV, a little bit of insight. What is EMV? Why is it here? And what is the purpose of it, essentially, right? It's been around now for a little while, but there's a lot of people, especially if you're newer into this industry, you may not know the history of EMV and why that's become popular now in the United States. So we're going to get some background on EMV. From there, we're going to shift gears and go into introducing PayTrace EMV 2.0. What is it? What are the benefits of it? How does it differ from some of the other solutions that are out there? And then lastly, we're going to go into some hardware, some specifications. Where do you get the hardware, ordering instructions, and lastly, of course, some next steps and some contact information for us. So like I said, we're going to get you down here in about 30 minutes. Now, just to make sure everybody's paying attention, pop quiz, what is EMV? We're in the payments industry, we are surrounded by acronyms, right? Whether you are an ISO, a merchant, a processor, a gateway, you're hearing all about EMVs and PCIs and APIs and ACH and all sorts of stuff, right? But what does EMV actually stand for? I see one, I got people raising their hand, throwing it in the chat box. Hold on. I've got a poll. I'm going to launch a poll. Use the poll. I'm going to grade everybody. This is, we just changed from PayTrace webinar to PayTrace University. All right, so I'm going to keep this poll up here for a few minutes. It looks like a lot of people are getting this correct, right? Is it something with electronic mag strips, something to do with Visa, verification, money vendors? I'm going to leave this up for 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and full. All right, 80% of people here attending live got this correct. The answer is, it's B, Europay, MasterCard, Visa. This, I don't know if they couldn't think of a better name for it, or like chip cards or anything like that, but these are the 3 bodies, organizations that developed this technology, this chip card technology. So if you don't know what EMV is, it is the little chips that are on your credit cards. I'm covering up my number here, right? But when you go to check out in person somewhere and you go to make a payment, right? Instead of swiping the card, we insert the card into whatever device that there is, and that reader is going to read the mag chip or the chip. But why, right? Why do we do this? Typically, these transactions take longer than swiping the magnetic strip on it. Well, for those of you that were around in payments and doing this back in 2015, you may remember this event called the liability shift. And I think it was one of the biggest disruptors, at least in my time working in payments. This is a big deal because basically what card brands issuing banks decided was that in an effort to make security on transactions better, that we needed to implement chips onto credit cards. And there's actually a really good reason. Magnetic strips are extremely unsecure and easy to replicate. All of us have probably eaten at a restaurant at some point. I'm going to assume that, right? Back in the day, you used to put your card in the little folding thing. They take it away from you. Who knows what they were doing back there, right? They could be copying a number. But one thing that's very easy for scammers to do is to get your card information, swipe it in a device that actually reads all of the track data off of that magnetic strip on your credit card, which they can then use that to create their own credit cards using your information. So very unsecure. You'll see little wedges on ATM machines or card readers that can kind of pop off. Those are scammers that are putting those machines on there to try to steal your information. Now with the chips, they are virtually impossible to replicate because every single time you use your chip on a transaction, it generates a unique code specific to that authorization. So that even if somebody was able to replicate the information that's on that chip, it's worthless, right? Because the next time that you try to use that data, it's going to come back as a decline, right? This is a non-authorization. So this chip stuff is really cool. Now, for merchants, it became a little bit of a hassle because at the time, most merchants didn't have the technology to accept these chips. So they'd have to go out and buy new devices and get set up with new corporations, new providers. So that's a little bit of a history. The cool thing is, the benefit is that when EMV became the standard in the first year, I had some data on this, between 2016 and 2017, card present fraud reduced by over 50%. So this stuff works. It works really well. And I think today, most card present fraud, at least with EMV, is more or less eliminated, right? So this is super important. If merchants are accepting face-to-face payments, we want to make sure that they are using the right technology. And with that, we believe EMV is going to be one of the best secure methods. So PayTrace EMV 2.0. Now, when we think about PayTrace, we think PayTrace is primarily a B2B solution. How important is card present? And it actually is very important. I will say the lion's share of transactions that hit PayTrace's gateway are going to be card not present. They're using the virtual terminal and API, right? Some invoicing solution that's going to be primarily back office, digital email, over the phone, something like that. However, we do work with quite a few suppliers, even some manufacturers, and especially distribution channels that do take face-to-face payments, whether they are on location at their customers' site or they have traffic coming into their place of business, right? They are taking payments in person. And when you do take an in-person payment, you do want to use the most secure technology. So therefore, we need to support some sort of card present hardware. Now, what is EMV 2.0? Well, it's a collection of next generation EMV solutions that cater to B2B merchants. I will say PayTrace does not currently integrate into any massive point of sale systems. You won't find PayTrace at a restaurant anywhere. But what you will find are the types of hardware that's going to be non-disruptive to a typical business-to-business type of merchant, meaning that there's not going to be a huge reliance on having the device be specifically connected to the internet itself. It's not going to have to install drivers onto your computer and not be reliant on a whole bunch of stuff. Essentially, what we wanted to do is we wanted to do something that was extremely easy to install and, just as important, extremely easy to support, so that we're not putting out hardware solutions that PayTrace can't support. We support everything that we put out. But we want to make it easy for the merchants and for our partners to be able to install and implement very seamlessly. So we vetted a lot of different hardware options. We actually used to use some different hardware that's since been sunsetted. You remember the old Ingenico IPP 320 device? That one's gone. That had Java limitations, that had browser limitations, terrible. What we're going to show you here is going to be so much nicer. We also wanted something that doesn't disrupt the merchant's current payment process, right? If they're using PayTrace or we're setting them up to use PayTrace as a payment solution, we don't want them to have to use a whole separate system to take card present transaction versus what they're currently doing today, whether that's using the PayTrace interface or using an API integration, right? We want all of that to be consolidated into one easy to manage solution. Right. And lastly, we want to be able to provide the highest level of payment security and expense reduction. Now, what's really cool about this is that, yes, super secure forms of payment. It's great. We talked about that a moment ago, why that's so important. But expense reduction, what does that mean? When you work with PayTrace, you expect interchange optimization. Our customers, our merchants expect to be paying the lowest prices possible on their interchange expense. And that means a lot of different things, right? Interchange optimization isn't always just B2B. I actually had this conversation with my colleague the other day, right? Interchange optimization is synonymous with level 2 and level 3 processing, but it's not the end all be all, right? So a couple things on that. PayTrace's EMV solutions do support level 2 and level 3. So anytime that a business is accepting a commercial credit card, a government credit card, something like that, that could benefit from level 2 and level 3, our system still supports that. We're still going to automatically populate all of the necessary data to get them the lowest transaction rate. However, right, what happens with those consumer cards? Well, the best accessible consumer rate would not be level 2 or level 3, but it would be card present, right? And by having these devices, we are able to get the lowest possible interchange on basically all types of cards that are hitting our system, whether it's business to business, business to consumer, right? So we are optimizing the interchange in all aspects. Now, PayTrace EMV 2.0 is supported in many different facets, which is kind of cool. Number one, which was kind of our first to market product, was our virtual terminal. We were actually one of the very first gateways to implement EMV on a virtual terminal. So all those merchants that had their software login, right, they didn't need to plug in their hardware into like an internet port, right? They could just plug it into their computer and be able to process it right on their desktop, right on their laptop. Really nice, right? So this is supported on the virtual terminal. This is also supported through our API. Now, what does that mean? Well, because it's through our API, you can basically add the benefit of EMV processing into any software that's out there today. So for all of our partners that are utilizing QuickBooks integration, or they're utilizing NetSuite integration, or they might even have their custom in-house integration, EMV is able to be implemented to that, right? So we actually do have merchants today using NetSuite, but they plug in an EMV reader into their computer and they're able to process card present transactions directly into NetSuite, right? And that is super cool. And then lastly, we do support a mobile app. You guys may be familiar with PayTrace Go. This is our own in-house mobile application. You can download it from the Android marketplace or the App Store, right, for Apple phones and devices. And it's free for any of our merchants to consume, and it also supports our EMV solution. So there's a lot of different ways to consume this, right? So it's going to take care of most merchants and how they're needing to process these types of payments. So without further ado, let's actually take a look at EMV 2.0 in action. So I've got my EMV device. We're going to talk about this here in a little bit, but what that is, hopefully you can see that in front of my outline here. I've got my card reader here. It's actually plugged in via USB port into my computer at the moment. You can tell by the blue light that it is good to go. I'm going to log into PayTrace and we're going to process some transactions. So let's go ahead and pull up paytrace.net. I'm going to get logged into my demo account. Username, password, the same as merchants currently do this today. Oops, let me... Oh, I'm trying to get into my sandbox account. All right, hang on one sec, team. We're going to use Safari for this. All right, so we'll go to PayTrace. Sign in. Username, password. We're good to go. So you'll notice that when EMV is implemented onto a merchant account, they're going to have a big button right here on their dashboard that says EMV, or it's going to be tucked away in their virtual terminal drop-down menu. Oops. All right, it's not pulling up there. But for this, we're just going to go ahead and go to EMV. I've got my credit card in front of me. I'm not showing you guys this on this live recording. I'm going to go ahead and insert it. You're going to hear a beeping noise. That's letting me know that this is processing. Oops. And it looks like, there we go. So that pulled over all of my track data, right? You can see the credit card number carried over. Don't try to guess those middle 8 digits or I'm going to send the police on you. And then we're just going to go ahead and put in the dollar amount and submit that transaction, right? So very simple. It's just going to pull over all the payment information directly when you put that into the device right into your PayTrace user interface. Now, with this, we've got a few different solutions for this. So the one that I just showed you is the ID Tech Augusta, right? This is, well, so I don't like using the term plug and play very lightly because I've been burned before when people have told me that different things are plug and play, or I've been guilty of saying something was oversimple. This is truly the definition of plug and play. So when I got this shipped to me, I unboxed it. I literally plugged it into my computer and I could start processing EMV transactions immediately. There wasn't any install process. There wasn't any sort of drivers I needed to download. I didn't have to go through Java and make sure that was up to date. Literally, it just interfaced with my computer immediately and I could start processing transactions. Took me a couple minutes just to unwrap the thing. Really love this technology. They're super affordable. We'll talk about pricing here in a little bit. But literally, this is probably the simplest EMV solution that I've seen on market. You'll notice there's no pin pad, so it's not chip and pin. It's not pin debit. It's literally just going to process, right, card transactions. And it does have that little fallback swiper slot on the side of it so that if the chip is compromised or it's not working correctly, right, you still have that fallback swiper to make sure that we can still get paid. Now, we also support a mobile app, PayTrace Go. And with that, because phones and tablets do not have USB ports, right, we do support a Bluetooth reader. So you can see here on the screen, we support the ID Tech VP3300. I've actually got one here in front of me. What's crazy is that this thing is actually smaller than the size of a credit card. Right? If you can see that on here, it's pretty phenomenal, right? How small this thing is. But it has a slot on the side of it here. You will see the little contactless icon. PayTrace doesn't currently support contactless. I'm just going to call that out before that question comes through. But this does do the EMV transaction. So to set that up on your phone or your tablet, literally just go onto one of the application stores, download PayTrace Go, and it's going to ask you if you want to key in a card or if you want to connect a Bluetooth device. You can just turn this on by the little power button on the side and it'll hook up to your phone pretty quickly. So, right, we're covering most of the bases there. So you've got both your desktop and your mobile option. Now, just to talk over some specifications, one of the reasons why we are doing this course today is because not only is this available on TSYS, we've had this on TSYS for a little while now, but yesterday we announced the launch of our FiServ certification. So for any of you guys that are a First Data FiServ office, right, that is your preferred processing network to put merchant accounts on, or if you are currently a merchant today, but you have a FiServ account and you want a really cool EMV device, right, it's available now. So feel free, if you are a merchant and you want this, talk to your provider about getting this added to your account. If you are a partner of ours, feel free to reach out to us for some more information about how you can get going on this, because this is going to be a new product for you guys. What I love about this is that it's browser agnostic and operating system agnostic. You'll see I just ran that transaction on my Safari browser, which I don't typically do. but it works on Chrome, Firefox, right? All the major internet browsers. And the thing about this device that you want to be sure to pay attention to if you are purchasing these is that it is injected specifically for PayTrace. So it's got some coding built into it for the PayTrace gateway. So you can't just go on like eBay and find the cheapest option. The two vendors that we currently support that do this injection are CDE and Blue Star, also known as Barcodes. I'll give you some information on where you can order these devices here momentarily. But both are fantastic vendors. We've worked with them for a long time, and they do have equipment stocked today, ready to be shipped. And with that said, who's going to be the best audience for this solution, right? Number one, I would say current PayTrace users, right? If you have a PayTrace account today, but you're not doing these card present transactions, but you have that traffic, or you have the opportunity to take payments out in the field, but you're not doing it today, awesome, right? There's been so many merchants that I've run into that actually go to their customer's place of location either to deliver equipment or to install something or whatever that might be. And rather than offering to collect payment on the spot, they go back to their office, they print out an invoice, they stuff it in an envelope, and they send that off and hope it gets paid, right? Terrible process, right? With, in this case, a mobile reader, right? Just whip out your tablet, say, hey, here's the amount due. Are you able to pay for this today? Fantastic. Get money in the bank quicker, right? Super convenient. Other, right, kind of qualifying factor. Processing commercial cards. There's a lot of different card present solutions out there, but you're not going to find many card present solutions that have the ability to supply level 2 and level 3 data. If they do, you're having to go into different screens and manually punch in numbers and data, and it's super inefficient, right? With PayTrace, you're still getting the same level of level 2 and level 3 automation while using the convenience of one of these simple devices. Mix of card present and card not present. I will say, I'm going to call it flat out. If you're a merchant or you have an account that is doing 100% card present, there's a lot of really good solutions out there. When I think of this as more of a value add and not the end all be all, right? This is going to be integrated into whatever current payment process that they have, right? If they're doing invoicing with PayTrace, if they have an integration into QuickBooks, whatever that might be. But, to be completely candid with everybody, if you're doing 100% card present, probably not the best. But if you're doing 50-50 or 80-20, right, and you need that mix of card not present technology, software solutions with the capability of doing card present, this is going to be phenomenal, right? Your customers are going to have the best experience possible. Very minimal disruptions. We're going to make their payment processing better. Using an integrated software. So I mentioned earlier, right? Now we have the ability to implement EMV card present solutions into all of these prepackaged software platforms. If you are an integrator, right? I was looking at the list of people. I think we might have an integrator or two on here. All of our EMV documentation is available online if you look at our API docs, right? So if you want to add EMV to your software, or if you partner with a software company and think that EMV would help take their solutions offering to the next level, right? Let's recommend PayTrace. We'd be happy to have those conversations. And then lastly, to that example that I talked about earlier, right? You have a dispatched workforce, right? Let's equip them with these EMV readers. Literally just the other week, I had some work done over at my house. And typically what I do is I wait for an email from them and then I ignore that email for a while, and eventually they send me some follow-ups and I pay them. Right? This individual had a card reader ready to go with an iPad, and it was pretty slick. And for me as a consumer, it was kind of peace of mind knowing that I didn't have a bill that I needed to pay. I could just pay it right then and there, and it made things very simple. I had some electric work done at my house a few months ago, and I'm still waiting on an invoice, and I'm afraid to follow up, and so I'm letting it go. But if they had that technology there to begin with, right, they would have already had money in the bank. So anybody that uses dispatched workforce, you guys got guys in trucks out in the field, right? This is a great tool to equip them with. Now, if you are a partner or an integrator that's on this call today, what I would recommend is maybe do a portfolio review. Look at your existing PayTrace merchants and see, what are some ways that we can improve their processing. This is a good reason to reach out to some of your customers and say, hey, it's been a while. We have this new technology. Maybe let's revisit on how you're taking transactions today. I don't know what that might be, but if there's a way that we can reduce chargebacks and we can keep them integrated into, right, your processing, that's going to be great, right? We want to put the best solutions forward. So resources to learn more. You can check out our blog. We just put out a blog yesterday to coincide with the Fiserv EMV launch. Go to blog.paytrace.com. You'll also find it on our website. If you're not already subscribed to that, you might be missing out on some really good information. Anytime we have a new product announcement or something important going out to our merchants and our partners, we usually post a blog. So check that out. We also have a YouTube channel. Go subscribe. This recording will live on our YouTube channel, so if you need to go back and review it, if you are watching this live today, check back there in the next few days, and we'll have that up there for review. We also have a lot of other quick little, 2-minute EMV demo videos. So if you did want to show this to one of your clients or you wanted to review the simplicity of it, go ahead and check that out. We've got an EMV playlist up on our YouTube account. And then lastly, we also have a data sheet that you can download. If you go to paytrace.net/EMV, you can download that there. So just to call out a few of these different resources, if you go to PayTrace, aptly put, under resources, you're going to see our blog. On our blog, you'll find our very brand new story is a look at EMV 2.0 payments. Also, you can go to paytrace.net/EMV. You'll find all sorts of good information on our EMV solution. We just put out a new data sheet so that for those of you that like to have some sort of sales sheet, sales collaterals, feel free to download this. You can print it off. There's a lot of really good information, testimonials, and all sorts of good things to consume. One thing I do want to call out while I've got this graphic pulled up here is that while our full EMV 2.0 stack is supported on TSYS, our Fiserv EMV certification currently only supports the ID Tech Augusta, the desktop version. We are currently in works to get the mobile application supported on Fiserv. So for right now, if you do have a TSYS account, you're great. Fiserv will be coming sometime in the new year. All right, and with that said, we are at the half-hour mark. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up to some Q&A. As I'm looking through the questions box here, I'm going to put up some contact information. If you'd like to get a hold of me directly, again, my name is Sam Johnson. You can reach me at salestraining@paytrace.com. If you have the need for a team training, just some general questions, I'm happy to help you with that. Otherwise, reach out to our sales team or reach out to our support team. Okay, Barry has a question. What if computer has no USB? Great question. My computer does not have a USB. I use a MacBook, which doesn't have the traditional USB port, so I have an adapter for mine. However, that question may have been in reference to mobile devices like iPads or tablets or phones, right? In that case, we've got the Bluetooth reader. So for me, right, with my Mac, I'll unplug this. I just use my little dongle to the lightning port adapter. It's got the EMV thing on there. They're like a couple bucks. You can buy those pretty much anywhere. Christina asking if we'll be looking into adding global payments to the processor connections. Great question. Christina, I'd be happy to talk with you a little bit offline about that. As far as the actual global rail, so right now we are supported to Global East. That's not on the roadmap at the moment. Right now, a majority of our partners have access to TSYS or Fiserv, so that was priority to make sure that we have that there. But I'm happy to have further dialogue with you about that. Denny's asking, how long will PayTrace last before timing out? Really great question, Denny. So by default, when an account is created, we have a timeout of complete inactivity of 15 minutes, right? Which is kind of why I said if they're doing 100% of this, might not be the best. However, if you go into PayTrace's security settings, that time can be bumped up as high as 30 minutes. So as long as some sort of activity is going on in the gateway, or you refresh the page or something, it will not log you out. But if you leave PayTrace sitting open for 30 minutes, it will log out automatically. And that's a security benefit, right? We don't want to leave open terminals where anybody can process a transaction. Carlos asking if this will be on the EPX platform. Yes, or when will it be? That is on the roadmap. I don't have a specific ETA, but we are looking into EMV solutions to be supported with EPX. So, great question. All right. Marshall, hey, Marshall. Sam, can you please give an example of the interchange savings for an EMV B2B transaction? Absolutely. So really quick, I know that we're up at time. Let me go back to this browser. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up a chart here for everybody that talks about interchange optimization. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I'm going to pull up a chart for Visa. And on this chart, you can see what rates look like for business-to-business commercial types of cards, in this case for Visa. And what's interesting is that while I show non-qualified product 1, level 2, and level 3, usually there's a column kind of in the middle here for card present, which is generally going to be slightly lower than product 1, which is going to be card not present. So if a merchant was to accept a Visa corporate or purchasing card and they ran it through an EMV solution, but they weren't adding level 2 or level 3 data, that rate is typically going to be about 2.5, 2.6. I don't have the actual number up here. It's just slightly lower than card not present. But that same card, if they're processed on PayTrace, where we're doing the added level 3 processing, right, we're going to drop that rate down to 1.9, which a lot of merchants today are missing out on, right, because they're using these EMV technologies and getting what they think is the lowest rate, but it's not. Right, and they don't necessarily have a way to add level 3 data. When you use PayTrace as the gateway, we're always going to get that down to the lowest applicable cost for the card type. So Marshall, thank you for setting me up with that question. That was a good one. All right, team. We're a couple minutes over time. I appreciate the dialogue. If you do have any follow-up, please feel free to reach out to me. Again, that's salestraining@paytrace.com. Again, my name is Sam Johnson. This is actually our last scheduled course for 2023. So check back in January. We're going to have some new courses on the webinar calendar, and I hope you guys can check those out. Take care.